Later in the show, I'm going to tell you about why bus drivers are quitting and then calling the freaking National Guard. But let's get to COVID. 5.97 million. We're getting close to 6 million in the state. 78,450 deaths plus 62. We're now up to 78,500. 83,461. 467 plus 2076. 1346 plus 7. 34.9% have been positive. 2.1 million tests have been taken. Over 740 positive tests. Hospitalization rates 150,000. And 26 people are in 1,000 people are in ICU. 20 million have had at least one dose, which is 69.3%. And 16.9 have been fully vaccinated, which is 58.4% of this. Now, turning to COVID. Still turning to COVID. Virginia is just one of the first of many school districts who are suing the governor of Virginia because of parents' choice. Because kids don't want to go to school with a mask, so therefore it'd be the parents' decision. So let's get to that story.
All right, we're going to turn now to COVID, where another fight over restrictions is headed to court. CBS's Meg Oliver reports from outside a school in Arlington, Virginia, where the battle over masks is pitting parent against parent.
There's a face-off over face coverings in Virginia public schools after the governor's executive order letting parents opt out of school mask mandates took effect today.
It's parents that should decide the health measures taken for their children.
And many parents agree. This morning, a group of them in Stafford County arrived at their children's elementary school with the intent to send them in without masks. Despite the district's policy, 6 families were turned away and offered virtual lessons instead.
There is no doubt that masks have played a role in our children's lack of education, and those masks are directly impacting their ability to learn.
But 7 county school boards have filed a lawsuit against Governor Youngkin, seeking to block the executive order. The lawsuit represents more than 350,000 students across Virginia, arguing that the state constitution gives local school boards the authority to enact policies that protect the health and well-being of students and staff. It also cites a state law requiring school systems to follow CDC health guidelines, which recommends universal masking in schools regardless of vaccination status. Amber Bomer, one of 13 parents in a separate lawsuit, has long COVID and asthma.
We are fighting for all of the children of Virginia and all of the teachers and the parents and all of the immunocompromised individuals who work and attend the schools within our school system.
Chris Wilson, a father of 2, also supports mask mandates.
Not a problem. When the kids support it, they know it's the right thing to do. We also know this is not a forever decision. This is a temporary decision.
Here in Virginia, the lawsuits ask the mask mandate remain in place until the court reaches a decision. Meanwhile, in Los Angeles today, students were required to upgrade their mandatory masks to something other than non-cloth with a nose wire. Nora?
Meg Oliver, thanks.
That was outrageous. I mean, suing the school district over suing the governor over its mask mandate. I mean, parents have a choice. You can't be telling parents, hey, if your child doesn't mask up, you're going to virtual learning. Parents have a right to choose what's best for their child. We did elect 5 people from the school, which is right. This month is School Board Recognition Month. We elect 5 people. And in the case of the Georgia month from back in April, She was right. We didn't vote for leaders in the CDC. We did elect people who do create policy. It's like forcing 7, 8, and 9-year-old little boys to cover their noses and their mouths where they breathe 7 hours. And 7 school boards are suing this, and if this gets taken to court, then it won't be much of a case. The governor have a side on this saying, well, the parents have a choice. So in this case, who are they going to side with? They're going to side with the governor. But what about that state law? That state law, those 2 state laws, will have to be getting rid of, or wiped out, or swept under the rug. Probably don't know. But and now Los Angeles County all they're doing is just upgrading masks. Instead of cloth, get the wire ones. It's like you can't choose the type of mask to wear. We have a right. If you're going to enforce a mask policy, then we have a right to choose what type of mask we want to wear. That's our right. Now, but until you get vaccinated, what else can you do? Like I've always said, you need to have your mask on at all times. You need to social distance. If you're riding transportation, same thing. Wash your hands, soap and water, kill the spread of germs. If your child's under 2, no masks. If you have a medical condition, no masks. You're riding the airplane. Still. Riding an airplane. Masks are still required, whether you're vaccinated or not. Things have got to change. We don't change this, then stuff is bound to happen. Alright, when we return, school bus drivers are quitting their jobs and then calling on the National Guard. More power outages are happening as the cold weather continues. We're going to tell you what you can do. And a school, and we're going to go down to Texas A&M or Kingsville, where they open a gaming lounge for all gamers. Imagine one day, out of the blue, you're sitting there talking to your boss and saying, I quit my job. And all the other people doing the same thing, but you have to call on the National Guard. That's exactly what happened a couple of days ago. When school bus drivers forced schools to get help from the National Guard. Is this crazy? Well, listen for yourself.
National Guard says it's supporting the state.
Begin this half hour with the ripple effect on school bus driver shortages on schools, students, and families across the country. Some states have gone as far as calling in the National Guard for help. Among them is Maryland, where some of the schools in the biggest district have been forced to return to remote learning. Errol Barnett has more on the impact.
From the nation's capital to the Lone Star State, parents remain under pressure.
A lot of buses called out.
The ongoing shortage of bus drivers already forced schools in at least 9 states to request assistance from the National Guard. But it's been more than 2 weeks since Maryland's biggest district sent its own SOS.
We've asked for 200.
Earl Stoddard sent the signal.
They are still inclined to try and help us, but they're looking for resources to do it.
In a statement to CBS News, Maryland's National Guard says it's supporting the state's Department of Health with testing and other actions, including patient transport, due to the current COVID surge.
There's just no certainty about what will happen.
For mother of 2 Melissa Ladd, no guard means an inconsistent bus schedule, which has kept her from substitute teaching.
I haven't been able to assist the school district in a time of great need and staffing shortages.
All of this forcing schools to recalculate bus routes every 24 hours.
It gives very, very little room
to make arrangements.
As the mother of 2 teenagers, Urania Benicio faces frustrating choices.
We have to be on site to be able to do our jobs. And it's either that or we stay home to take care of our children.
As of Thursday, 16 Montgomery County public schools went virtual until at least the end of the month, as it sees record quarantine numbers of staff and students, who officials acknowledge are struggling.
You know, the learning loss that we're now mitigating from earlier pandemic disruptions or earlier pandemic virtual learning is in many ways a significant amount of work to make up for a lot of these students.
For CBS Saturday Morning, Errol Barnett, Rockville, Maryland.
Listen, when the National Guard gets called, and you know it can be serious, right?
Yeah.
The challenges they've been dealing with for 2 years now.
Right.
Yeah, we got 2 years into this. And when you see people calling the National Guard, I don't think it's a bad idea to be calling the National Guard. It's not a bad idea. I think it's a cry for help. And going back to what learning, well, that might affect funding. But still, I really think it's a good idea to bring in the National Guard. Okay. Other news to report now. A 16-year-old woman fends off a carjacker. Carjacking has become the biggest problem ever. But first, here's the very latest.
And imagine the shock of a random stranger getting into your car, attempting to steal it, with you still inside. Well, this happened to one local woman, and tonight she is sharing her harrowing experience.
She tells us that she wasn't going to go down without a fight, telling the alleged crook that he chose the wrong vehicle to get into. Our Bill Churchill reports on how she was able to foil the attempted carjacking.
You're in the wrong car. Yolanda Ramos says that warning did not faze a guy who got in and went for the keys, but she wasn't going to make it easy on him.
I grabbed the keys in his hand and I yanked them. I turned it and yanked them out of the ignition.
Ramos met me across the street from where that close encounter happened here in a parking lot at Ayers and 7th Street. She says she was in the passenger seat of this parked Camaro waiting for her friend who went inside the post office. The car was on and the door was unlocked.
I said, okay, he made a mistake. He's in the, but then I saw the dog. But then he got totally in and he just looked at me like he didn't care.
Ramos jumped out with keys in hand and continued to yell at him to get out.
Get out. Finally got out. He shut the door and started walking away casually. I followed him. I yelled at him. I took pictures of him.
These are pictures she snapped of the man and the dog before he eventually got away. She was fired up then, and she's fired up now.
I worry about the elderly here. You know, this is a place where they say, come retire. It's Corpus Christi. What am I retiring to? I'm retiring to now I have to fight and worry and walk the street scared.
Ramos tells me she's not your average 60-year-old and wants to see the man caught before something like this happens to someone else. She's called police and alerted the Postal Service about the incident.
I got this photo shoot of him. I kept bouncing around. He chased me. I'd snap. Okay, that's what I needed, because if I tell the police a guy in a hood attacked me, there's 99,000 guys in hoods, but you can see that one.
Corpus Christi police say this is the only recent report of something like this happening in the area, and that it is most likely a split-second moment of opportunity for that would-be crook.
Unfortunately, you know, we live in a day and age where you have to lock your car, even if you're inside it. If something like that happens, obviously you want to have the doors locked. Be aware of your surroundings. You see somebody coming up to your vehicle, lock the doors if they're not already locked.
If you see this man, call the police, give them this case number, and get him off our streets.
And until that happens, Ramos says she will do whatever she can to get the word and pictures out in hopes of warning others.
Lock it. Your grandmother, lock it. Because I'm not little, and he got in like I wasn't even there.
Bill Churchwell, 3 News.
You're getting in
Scary. Brave woman, though.
Right.
Very
Oh, my
brave
goodness.
indeed.
That was a brave woman. And if you come across a carjacking, and if you don't make a victim of carjacking, what you need to do is make sure you get your keys, you lock your door, and make sure your possessions are locked. And make sure the trunk is locked. Make sure your car is locked, so that this won't happen again. And if you see that guy in your area in Corpus Christi, you call the cops immediately. When we come back, solving the substitute shortage. We're taking you to a high school in Alice to where they're solving the problem for that substitute shortage. Then, we're taking you to Kingsville to where a welcome gaming lounge. During the past 2 years of COVID, substitute shortages have been on the rise. Many substitutes just quitting their jobs because they don't want to get near the students, they don't want to get tested, they don't want to get vaccinated. But one school in Alice is solving the problem. What's the problem and what can be done about it? Take a listen. Take a look.
Are looking for more substitute teachers. A lot of schools are getting competitive. The Alice ISD has increased the pay for their substitute teachers. The district will pay substitutes with at least 12 college credits $80 a day. That number then jumps to $100 a day for someone with a bachelor's degree. That new pay rate takes effect in February. Over in Fremont ISD, meantime, the district is working to grow their own teachers with what they call the Fremont Promise, where a teacher who works at the district during college is promised a teaching job in Fremont once they graduate.
That is some good news for Alice ISD. For Alice ISD. But it probably won't solve the substitute shortage. I mean, parents have to call in. There's plenty of people out there who have college degrees, probably won't even come in. But if parents want to be used to help out with the situation, then use the parents. If they have to get me in here to substitute, hey, I'll be available. I'll freaking take a day off to deal with this crap. See, what did we not talk about? Over the past 3 days since this cold happened, since the cold, you've been wondering. Going back to COVID, CCIC continues to monitor precautions among the students to help slow the spread. Listen.
The district reports that more than 800 students have tested positive for COVID-19. It's according to their website. Even so, students will remain with in-person instruction. The district is taking precautions to prevent the spread of the virus. CCISD's Director of Communications tells us that students testing positive is reflective of what's going on throughout the Corpus Christi community.
We're in a surge in the community, and what is happening in the community is going to happen in our school. So we do have a number of kiddos who have been out. You know, we work with them to kind of keep them current on their schoolwork.
The district is working, as you heard there, with students and families just to make sure they don't fall behind on that work. They also plan to continue vaccine clinics for kids and adults and will announce new dates soon.
And speaking of schools, let's check out Flower Bluff and see how they're doing. Let's check out the 21st. 14 cases for the high school, 5 cases for junior high students, 1 for junior high staff, 2 for intermediate students, 1 for intermediate staff, 7 for elementary students, 2 for elementary staff, 3 for primary, 2 for ECC, and 1 from ECC staff, which brings us to the total for this year up to 163 cases throughout this month. We've got 5 to 6 days left in January until we move on to February. And that was because of that 3-day weekend that happened last week. If you were part of that 3-day weekend during that time, you might have been diagnosed with COVID. Now, when we went under the cold, there was a power outage yesterday there was a power outage that happened. If you were in the Corpus Christi area on Waldron Road, you might have witnessed blinking blackouts. The whole reason for that is because of what's been happening. And if you have a power outage, you see a power outage happening, or if your power's out, you need to report it to AEP immediately, and they'll come take a look at it. All right. There's been another school threat that happening. This time an investigator shot a man who threatened the school in the Dalton Gardens. A man accused of making threats toward law enforcement at an elementary school was shot by Greer d'Alene police and the county deputies over that state. So here's what happened.
What do you design today?
County deputies say they responded to a call of a suicidal man with a weapon near a Dalton Gardens school. While they tried to negotiate with that man, Dalton Elementary was put on a safety hold. Police say that man threatened people at the school and officers at the house. Vanessa Perez is in Dalton Gardens with what happened next.
Deputies say the man pulled out a gun. That's when they fired back. Deputies tried negotiating with the man for several hours before the shooting happened. Kootenai County Sheriff's deputies and Coeur d'Alene police officers were involved. We know that none of the deputies or officers were hurt during the shooting. We're told the man was taken to the Kootenai Medical Center. His identity and condition are not being released at this time. The Idaho State Police are investigating the shooting. Now, this is an ongoing investigation. We'll bring you new information as we get it. Reporting in Coeur d'Alene tonight, Vanessa Perez, 4 News Now.
And we'll also bring information during this show. When we return, the final item in this show, this time, college gaming. Wait till you see what happens in Keensville, in Texas A&M Keensville. Finally tonight, a trip to the gaming room. If you're in Keensville, you may have seen this gaming room happen. This was the very first.
Students are going to get to sharpen their video game skills over at Texas A&M Kingsville.
I'm loving this. This is the Javelina Gaming Lounge. And there we go. Snip. It just opened today. It's the new state-of-the-art gaming center. It features 10 of the latest gaming devices. It's all for multiplayer video competitions among the students out there.
I met a lot of friends through gaming. I found job networking through gaming because pretty much everyone does it, especially after COVID. It's a great pastime when you're locked in your room. This opens opportunity for guys who don't have the finances to get a new system.
I don't know, it looks so sus.
I love it.
Get it? Okay, it looks pretty cool actually. Javelina students can find the lounge on the first floor of the James C. Jernigan Library.
Takes care of
Mario
some
Kart.
Okay, I got you. You like that game?
I gotta check it out one day. Maybe we'll do it. Maybe if I get permission from the Kingsville Texas A&M, or maybe if I get a friend for transportation, we could probably do a show from there, and maybe we'll do a gaming segment there. So, congrats to Gainesville ISD for this one. I hope that I can come visit sometime and check it out. Because I love video gaming. I was gaming ever since. I play a half hour a day. I really hope to come visit. So give me a call one day, Texas A&M Kingsville, and maybe we'll do a show from there. One day. Tomorrow on the broadcast, which is today, we're going to focus on blame. Throughout that segment, we're going to talk about why the government was blamed for 3 things. Number 1 was the standoff in Idaho, Randy Weaver. Number 2, the Branch Davidian compound. Number 3, the Oklahoma City bombing. All 3 of these things happened by the government. And number 4 was the Oakland school shooting. We talked about that lawsuit and how the school was blamed for not taking these steps. So do we really blame the superintendent for this? Find out tomorrow, which is today. That's all for this edition of Gaming Break Monday going to Tuesday. We'll see you again for Gaming Break Tuesday. And for all of us here at YouTube, have a good night and stay gaming out there. Good night, everyone.